Welcome to the You at Your Best podcast. I'm your host, Morgan. Before we get into the episode, let me give a little bit of an introduction for anyone who's new. If you like listening to someone process life in real time, or you are neurodivergent, an overthinker, a perfectionist, or maybe feel things deeply, this is the podcast for you. This is a non-professional, very human podcast about choosing authenticity over performance. My goal is to remind you to always come back to yourself. I talk about very deep things. I don't avoid vulnerability, but I trust you to know what resonates, what feels safe, and what might be too much for you right now. And I also share a journal prompt at the end of every single episode to help you think. So join me if you want to create a life that actually feels like you, so that you can become you at your best. All right, let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. Hello, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. For this week's episode, I'm going to be talking about something a little bit more external than I normally talk about. And I also want to give a trigger warning. This episode is about body image struggles, disordered eating struggles. This episode is a reflection on body and eating related topics that have happened throughout all of my life and my experiences that I spent a lot of time never really processing, and what changed for me whenever I stopped fighting myself and I started being kind to myself. So I want to start off by talking a little bit about what body image looks like for me now, and kind of like the moment that I realized something had truly changed. I think the strangest thing about healing my relationship with my body is that I didn't really notice it happening. There wasn't one day where I just woke up and I suddenly loved my body. It was a lot quieter than that. And I learned over time that the kinder I am to myself, the better I feel. And my body image struggles had nothing to do with how my body looked, and everything to do with my mindset and how I talked to myself and how I approached everything that I was struggling with. And I don't want to say that I fully healed, because I still struggle with body image. I still put on clothes and worry, but it just kind of came naturally. I started feeling like eating wasn't so complicated. Getting dressed wasn't so emotional most of the time. Taking pictures felt more neutral. I would see a picture where my body didn't look perfect and remind myself that I'm a normal human being, and that's what's beautiful about me. Seeing my body doesn't immediately trigger a spiral anymore, and I find myself feeling more comfortable in my own skin altogether. And whenever I realized that this had changed, I started really thinking about how different my relationship with my body used to be. Whenever I was in college, I started gaining weight, a normal amount of weight. I was growing into an adult woman body, and that was fine, that was normal. But to me, it felt like the end of the world, because I had curated this entire wardrobe of clothes that I loved. I had so many pairs of jeans, like thrifted, vintage, early 2000 jeans that I loved so much, and suddenly none of those jeans fit me anymore. And I had to restart everything. And I remember one specific day, I was trying on clothes and I just started breaking down, crying, because all I could think was, you're not good enough. Your body is disgusting. And I was so scared of not being skinny. At that time, it felt like the only thing that really mattered was my looks. I didn't really have a sense of self. I didn't really know who I was, but I did know that I was pretty. And I did know that people always complimented me for being skinny. And although I don't think people meant anything bad by that, whenever you're constantly told that, it's really hard to notice changes that may make you appear unattractive to other people. So whenever I saw my body in those pants in the mirror, and whenever I couldn't pull them up past my hips, I freaked out. And during that time, whenever I would try on clothes, it's like my entire mood would change, because something that used to fit me didn't fit me anymore. I just remember standing there, looking at myself, feeling like my body had betrayed me, and feeling like I needed to fix myself before I could enjoy getting dressed again. It kind of felt like I wasn't allowed to enjoy life because my body didn't fit into the clothes that I felt like it should fit into. And the thing that was really hard for me was that it wasn't just that I didn't like my clothes. It was that it felt like proof that I had failed. And during this time, I eventually started counting calories. I remember thinking that if I could just control my food enough, I could prevent myself from becoming someone that I didn't want to be. So I started tracking. I started paying attention to every single little thing that I ate. And I remember just feeling proud of myself whenever I ate less and feeling guilty whenever I ate more. And now looking back, I wonder, where did all of this come from? Why did I struggle so much with my body image? Because gaining weight wasn't what caused all of this. There's so much more to body image than just what we feel whenever we gain weight, or how we feel in the moment whenever we don't like how we look in a picture, or whenever we try on outfits and they don't look how we think they should. It's never just about that one moment. And thinking back to my childhood, my earliest memory of body image struggles or someone commenting on my body was in kindergarten. I remember my gym coach, she saw my weight on the scale and she looked at me like I was disgusting and told me that I was too skinny. I remember how much that hurt. And I remember whenever that happened, I spent the rest of that gym class just feeling so much shame about myself. So much that I started gaining this intense amount of anxiety. And then fast forward to I think I was around 12 or 13. I was watching Bethany Moda all the time, and I loved makeup and making videos, and I just loved all things beauty and creating things. So I started wearing crop tops, and during that time I also gained a little bit of weight. And I want to say that looking back at pictures, I had a very normal child body, but the adults in my life didn't feel like it was normal. They would constantly comment on my body. It was like this big thing, Morgan is gaining so much weight, Morgan's getting so big. And whenever I would wear crop tops, I would have people tell me you shouldn't be wearing crop tops, your body isn't right for those, or you can see your stomach poking out. I had one person that anytime I would wear a bikini, they would constantly comment on what my body looked like in the bikini, tell people about how much food I was eating. Whenever I was with those people, I was scared to eat, but I was hungry. It felt like no matter what I did, I was never good enough. And whenever you have people constantly telling you that your body isn't good enough or you're eating too much, you think back to the times whenever you were smaller and people did comment on your body, but in a more positive light. And you start to wonder, maybe I'm not valuable just as I am. I think about a 12-year-old doing exactly everything that I did, and I think she deserves to be protected. But I didn't really get that as a child. That was my experience with body image struggles throughout my life. A lot of women have very similar stories. Most women feel like they're not good enough unless they look in a way that society deems good. And all of those things started becoming a little bit less unbearable. And throughout my life, body image started taking up space more than it should. So how it affected me was with clothes. I would buy things based on hiding my body. And I've always loved fashion and I've loved getting dressed and wearing cute outfits. But I learned what looks good on my body and I only wore that. I was scared to wear anything else. I would avoid things that I actually liked because it felt like I wasn't allowed to wear them. I used to buy clothes that I absolutely loved and they would just sit in the closet because I was so scared that my body didn't look good in them. And I had certain outfits that I would wait to wear until I lost weight. I would buy clothes that were a smaller size and kind of look at it as a punishment. You're not allowed to wear this until you are better. And then I would see a photo of me and I would immediately start searching for flaws. I only posted the pictures where I looked absolutely perfect. I would constantly compare myself to other people on social media. I would see girls on social media who were so skinny and I was so confused by it. So confused why they were allowed to be skinny and I wasn't. That's how it felt. And I remember I would see people online who would do one workout and they would look skinnier. And I was like, why is that not happening to me whenever I'm aggressively working out every single night and my body still looks the same? In social situations, I would constantly be thinking about my appearance instead of the moment. If my makeup looked good enough, if my body looked good in the outfit that I was wearing, if I looked skinny enough. I just felt so bad about myself. I couldn't be confident because all I could think about was, how do I look? It felt like my looks were my only value. It kind of felt like everyone else was comfortable except for me. Felt this bad about my body, but I never once paid attention to other people's bodies. I never even for a second thought, oh, this person looks this way. It was more about me. I thought that my body not looking good was the reason why I felt bad about myself, not that I disliked myself in general. Because my body image issues weren't just about the fact that my body didn't look a certain way. They were also about the fact that I didn't love myself. I didn't just want to look different. I wanted to look like the version of myself that I imagined me to be. Whenever I was in college, every single day I was wearing makeup, I would do a full face, and I looked pretty. I looked great, but I didn't feel great. And looking back, because of all of my experiences, I think I genuinely believed that shame was motivation. I thought if I was mean to myself, then it would motivate me to be better. If I hated my body enough, then my body would eventually change. If I criticized myself enough, then I would finally become disciplined and start taking better care of myself. If I was uncomfortable enough, I would fix myself. But the problem was that I was trying to create change through a constant state of feeling unsafe, and that's not where change comes from. And now I'm going to talk about whenever things finally started changing. I started listening to a podcast called Try Not to Care by Ashley Corbo, and her struggles with body image and with eating looked very similar to mine. And the way that she talked about herself and the way that she allowed herself to eat whatever she wanted changed my brain. And it really helped me start to notice all of the shame that I felt wasn't meaningful and it wasn't helpful. And because of her, I deleted that app that I downloaded where I was counting calories. I used to feel like, what can I restrict? And then it slowly started becoming, what does my body need? What is my body craving? Not how many calories does this have, but what does my body want right now? Listening to my body really helped me understand what is healthiest for me. And Ashley taught me that the healthiest version of us isn't the version of us that's body is the tiniest and who eats the least amount of food. The healthiest version is the one that listens to what our body says and gives it what it asks for. Slowly over time, food started becoming more neutral. I started enjoying things without guilt, and I started finding balance. And whenever it came to clothes, instead of feeling like I need to find clothes that hide my body, or I need to fit my body into clothes that don't feel good, I started thinking, I want clothes that feel like me. And I stopped worrying so much about like, do I look perfect in this? And I thought, do I feel good in this? I started allowing myself to rest. A lot of my struggles do go back to nervous system regulation. So I started realizing that my body wasn't something that I needed to constantly override. It was something that I needed to listen to. The biggest change wasn't ever physical. My body didn't change. Actually, after having my daughter, my body is bigger now than it was whenever I originally started struggling. What changed was that I stopped constantly monitoring and checking my body. I stopped putting my life on hold until I looked perfect. I stopped seeing every insecurity as this huge emergency. And I still have days where I don't feel beautiful. I still have days where I see a picture and my heart drops, but don't turn that moment into a reason to hate myself anymore. I notice that feeling, I feel it for a second, and then I remind myself, you're a human being. And for me, my body taught me something that I've had to learn in every single other area of my life, that things grow better whenever they are cared for. For me, this connects to my creativity, my relationships, parenting, and my relationship to myself. Whenever I'm kind to myself, whenever I just let myself live and just let myself exist, that's the healthiest version of me. The happiest version of me is the version that is able to enjoy her life, who can move her body, feel good in her skin. The healthiest version of me is not someone who looks the best or who is unkind to herself until she looks perfect, who is constantly getting validation from other people. The healthiest version of me is the one that loves herself no matter what she looks like, no matter what mistakes she makes, no matter how other people perceive her. She's a woman who loves herself regardless. And that's where I am now. I'm in this phase of my life where I don't really pay attention to my body anymore. I definitely don't pay attention to calories. I definitely don't tell myself that I can't eat something. If I want it, I will eat it. If you are someone who struggles with your body right now, I don't want you to wait until you love it before you start living your life. So wear that outfit that you like. Take the pictures that you like. Go to that event that you want to go to. Let yourself exist. Our beauty isn't defined by how perfect we look. Our beauty is defined by how perfectly imperfect we are. There's nothing that you need to change. You are lovable just as you are. No matter what your body looks like, no matter the mistakes that you've made, no matter what you feel shame or guilt about, you are worth loving regardless of any of that stuff. And for today, I have 2 journal prompts. The first one is, what is the smallest act of kindness that you could give yourself today? And the next one is, how do you want to feel about your body right now? Then try to tap into that feeling without changing anything about how you look. Next week's episode will be part 2 to this episode. It'll be the insight. It'll be about how to heal your body image without trying to fix your body. Okay, that's all for today. If something in this episode resonated, share it with a friend who needs a little reminder that they're not alone. If you want more conversations like these, be sure to follow and rate this podcast. Downloading this episode is one of the best ways to help this podcast grow, so be sure to do that. If you want to find me on social media, all of my links are in my link tree in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next Sunday.